As of today, there are 23 candidates hoping to be named the Democratic nominee for president. One of those is Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton. He's a veteran and a Harvard graduate who threw his hat into the ring last month in a video posted on YouTube. And joining me now here in studio is Congressman Moulton. I appreciate you dropping by while you're here in the Bay Area. We'll talk about why you're here in a moment. First, let's start off with what we just saw there on that graphic. I don't have to tell you, there's a lot of folks out there. It's a crowded field. So what is it about you? What qualities do you possess, or what is it about your platform that you think sets you apart?
Well, there are a couple things. First of all, my background is unique. I'm the only candidate in this race who's actually had the experience of leading troops in combat in the middle of our longest war in American history. And fundamentally, my job was to bring an incredibly diverse group of Americans with different religious beliefs and political beliefs from all across this country together and get them united behind a common mission. And I think that's the kind of leadership we need from the next president of the United States. I'm also the only candidate in this race who's talking about national security, about how we make our country safe and strong, both at home and abroad. And
you've talked about President Trump's erratic foreign policy that we are seeing play out here, with many different countries around the world. What do you mean by erratic, and what would you do differently?
Well, look at just what's happened in the past week. He's had a failed coup in Venezuela. We're warmongering with Iran, and they've already said they're going to restart their nuclear weapons program. His best buddy in North Korea has fired off ballistic missiles that he's threatening to put nuclear tips on. And so the world is actually a pretty dangerous place. We need to stand up to Russia and China. We need to address the continued threat of terrorism. And I think it's important for Democrats in this race to talk about that and to take on President Trump, not just in his job as president, but in his role as commander-in-chief.
And I know that you have challenged President Trump directly on his lack of military service. Why do you feel like that's an area where you might be able to gain some traction?
Well, I mean, just look at the comparison. This is a job that's fundamentally about public service, about doing the right thing for the country, not for yourself. Donald Trump used his father's connections to lie about his feet to get out of serving in Vietnam. Think about that comparison with John F. Kennedy. He used his father's connections to get medically cleared when he had some medical problems in order to serve in World War II. I think we need to have a commander-in-chief who's willing to do the hard work, who's willing to lead by example, and understands what it means when you take on this awesome responsibility of asking Americans to risk their lives for the safety of the rest of the country.
All right, well, you're here in California. Recreational cannabis was legalized by the voters here not long ago, and I know that just this week you are pushing forward a series of bills that will expand access to cannabis for military veterans. Speaking of those veterans, why is that an important issue, and are you willing to go as far as saying that pot should be legalized on the federal level?
I am. I think it's past time to stop pretending that by outlawing pot it's just not going to get used. Cannabis is used by a lot of people, and veterans especially, I hear from all the time, who are using it in many times so that they don't get addicted to opioids. So these three bills are bipartisan bills. We worked hard to make them bipartisan so they really have a chance of getting passed and making a difference in people's lives.
Let me ask you here, there's a mayor in Lawrence, Massachusetts, who has been tweeting lately about you. And some of these tweets are gaining some traction online. I want to put one of them up there. His name is Dan Rivera, and I'm not sure if you know him, but he is tweeting here that adults in the party, the Democratic Party, need to say no reason that a junior U.S. representative from Salem, Massachusetts, that would be you, should be running in this race when the senior senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, has been in for months. He's saying you need to step aside. He's also pointing out that having all of these candidates, it's too much noise, and it's overwhelming for the voters. What do you think about what the mayor is saying there?
Well, first of all, I think it's a strength of our party that we have so many candidates offering different perspectives and making their case for how best they can take on Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump's going to be harder to beat than many Americans think, so let's see who makes the best case. But the second thing I'll say is that, when I ran in my first race, people said the same thing. People like in the Massachusetts establishment, in the political establishment, they said, why are you taking on this 18-year incumbent in your home district? And think about what they were saying to this young veteran who'd just come back from Iraq. They were basically saying to me, Seth, do not participate in the democracy you risked your life to defend. And that's wrong.
You just alluded to it here, though. I think you talk about the fact that Donald Trump, President Trump, is going to be more difficult to beat than you think people give him credit for. Do you believe that the Democratic Party is underestimating President Trump's ability to get reelected?
Well, I worry about that, and I think the point is that we need to take this election seriously. We need to really work hard to put forward the best nominee we can to take him on and make sure we reach voters in the middle of the country that feel left behind by Washington. Many of those voters who voted for hope and change in Obama, but then didn't see enough of it, and so they voted for Trump. We need to win them back.
All right, well, let's talk about what it's going to take for you to get onto the debate stage next month. You know, candidates need to have 65,000 individual contributions from supporters in order to qualify. I know you just got into the race a few weeks ago, so you're just getting the ball rolling. But where do you stand, and do you think you're going to make it onto that debate stage next month?
We're on track to make it. I mean, obviously it's going to be close. I did get into this race kind of late. I have a 7-month-old daughter at home.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't going to get in.
7-month-old. That's so, you have.
Well, look, here's the thing. I mean, it's a serious thing. It was a hard decision to make to get in this race, especially you know, with my daughter at home. But but I think it's the right thing to do because I think it's the best way I can serve this country. And I look forward to bringing these issues of national security to the debate stage because right now no one else is talking about them. So I'll tell you what, if there are viewers out there who like this, who think this should be part of the Democratic debate, go to my website and donate $1, even just $1, to help me get on the debate stage in June.
Okay, it could be a crowded stage, but you want to be on it. I know you do.
Absolutely.
All right, Congressman Seth Moulton.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you stopping by.